Welcome to Envisioned Broadcasting, the station designed to encourage, equip, and empower you for growth and success. Presents Women Emerge with Mellisa Lambert, a show that shines a light on spiritual growth, health, purpose, and financial education. It's time to emerge and begin to live out your dreams, walk into your destiny, while making a difference in the lives of many.
Welcome to Woman Emerge with Mellisa Lambert. I am your host, and we are now coming into episode 35. And this is a part 2, y'all. So I want y'all to gear up for what's about to happen on this Wednesday. So again, before we get started into the show, just want you to know that this show is being sponsored by Women Emerge Network, a network created for women, men, and children to help bring families' dreams, destiny, and businesses together. Today is Wellness Wednesday. Every Wednesday, we want you to tune in and let's learn together as we share about everything wellness. We know that wellness is important for all of us, right? But when it comes to wellness, many people think only of our health. But on this show, we will discuss spiritual wellness, our health, our wealth, our mental wellness. And today, last week, Wednesday, we did have the opportunity to have the amazing Candace Mohammed on, and we did talk about an amazing topic, guiding the future, training up a child in the way they should grow. We didn't get a chance to finish all 10 of the actual tips that we wanted to share. So we said we're going to do a part 2 of that. So this is part 2. We're going to be discussing guiding the future, training up a child in the way they should grow. And we have, again, our specialist, our therapist, Candace Mohammed. She's not a stranger. You know, she has been here twice. This is her third time on the show. She is connected to Women Emerge Network under her own business, Embrace and Heal Ministries. None other than Candace Mohammed. She is originated from the beautiful island of Trinidad and Tobago, but lives here in Central Florida. She first started her career pursuing accounting. However, life changed and took Candace on a new path in clinical mental health. She has come to know and understand that this new journey was God's plan for her life. Today, she takes pleasure in working with anyone who is motivated to achieve their life worth living. Candace is very passionate about adolescent and the young adult population, as she believes that she is called to help shape the minds of our future generations. Through the process of networking, I met Candace Mohammed, who is one individual I have admired. I have really admired her because her passion and love for people is just amazing. She is a unique kind of therapist, one who uses different strategies and techniques to build reports, gain clients, trust, and help them along their therapy journey. So please help me welcome to Woman Emerge with Mellisa Lambert, none other than Candace Mohammed. Welcome to the show, Candace.
Thanks, Melissa. It's always a pleasure to be here with you. I'm so happy to be here today and wrap up part 2 of this topic that we started last week.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Candace. And we came from the Proverbs 22:6, which says, train up a child in the way he should go, he or she, and when he or she is old, he or she will not depart from it. When they say it for me, I say from the word of truth, from the knowledge we have given each our children, from the skills and the things we have taught our children. So when you hear that Proverbs, Candace, what comes to mind of that Proverbs for you as a parent, but also for you as a therapist?
For me, as you know, both as a parent and as a therapist, because as a therapist, I see myself as a teacher and also sometimes a parent to my clients. And so for me, when I hear that, it means teaching the kids basic principles that will guide them in life and also living a life that I would be okay for them to mirror. When I hear that, that's what I think about.
Wow, wow. That's what we should be doing though. We should be mirroring ourselves to our kids. When they see us, they know for a fact what we're doing is something to better themselves. So when they see us, when they hear us, they're going to mimic that. And I like the fact that we want to mirror what our kids see is something good. So thank you so much, Candace, when it comes to that. I believe that as parents, our kids they're like sponges. They soak up everything they see. They soak up everything they hear. So yes, as we speak, as we act, as we do, we need to remember we have these sponges around us, watching our behavior, watching our action, hearing our words, and they can either mimic that behavior, and they can go out there and embarrass you, or they can go out there and make you proud of them. So we're going to talk about the topics that we gave some pointers last week, and I want to go over the 5 that we talked about. We talked about lead by example. We talked about they learn not only from what we say, but perhaps more importantly from what we do. We talked about encourage exploration. We want our kids to explore. They are unique in their own way. They're talented, so we want them to be explorers of themselves. So we want to encourage that. The third thing we talked about is teach responsibility. Responsibility is a cornerstone of personal growth. Teach your child to take care of their belongings, complete their chores, and be accountable for their action. We talked about fostering critical thinking, encouraging our children to ask questions, analyze situations, and think critically, even outside the box. We talked about the 5th thing, promote empathy, teaching your child to understand and share their feelings of how they feel, promoting kindness, compassion, and a sense of community. And we're going to dive into the 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 tips that we want you to learn. We talked about we're going to do 10, so we want to complete it today. So Candace, the 6th step that we want to talk to parents about is set realistic expectations. While it's important to set expectation for our children, ensure they are realistic and age appropriate, right? So when I'm setting an expectation for Chelsea, she's my only child, but if I had another child, say for instance for you can't set the same expectation for Daniel that you set for Ari, right? Because they're not the same age. So when you hear that as a therapist, set realistic expectation for these children, what comes to mind, and how can we do that knowing that some people like yourself, you have 2 different age groups. You can't expect the same thing that you expect from Ari to the same on Danielle, right? And you can't expect Danny to do the same as Ari. You set him at a different bar, and you set her on a different bar, but as a parent, you want one bar to be the same. The realistic expectation is when you step out this house, you better be respectful. When you leave this house, you better make sure you say, do what you're supposed to do. While you're in this house, you do this, So tell me, as a therapist, Candace, when a parent here set realistic expectation for their children, what does that look like and what does that mean?
So, it's amazing that you said, you spoke about my 2 kids, Ariane and Daniel, okay? And a lot of times as parents, we set our kids up with unrealistic goals because of the things that we want for them, right? And so I remember Daniel at 4 years old, he was reading at a 6, 7-year-old level. And the only person that I could have compared Ariana to when she came along was Daniel. And so for me, when she was at that age and she couldn't read the way Daniel was reading, I started to compare her. And I could only imagine what that did to her confidence. So while it presented an opportunity for me to pray and ask God to increase her wisdom and her intellect, it still taught me a lesson that they are 2 different human beings. And so the bar that Daniel set at his age, it probably was too high for Ari at that time, but she is just as intelligent. But at that time in her life, I had to learn as a parent that I cannot compare my kids. And even so, when clients come in for therapy, I find a lot of my parents do that. They would say, well, this one didn't do this at this age, and I'm so sick of it. Like, I keep talking, I spend so much money behind tutoring. But yes, but you got to stop and realize that this kid is different. That is so dangerous for us to do as parents. We need to accept that we are all unique human beings. And so
Absolutely.
what one kid did at 2, the other may do it at 4. It doesn't mean that they are any less than the other one.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I so agree with you, because pushing too hard can lead to stress and burnout for these kids, right? Whereas setting achievable, and what you're saying, setting achievable goals can boost their confidence. And you're right. Where one child is unique in this area, the second child come along may not meet those milestones. The third child comes along, may not meet that milestone. Doesn't mean they are not special. They're just different in their own stages and in their own way. So I like that you mentioned that, Candace. And as parents, we have to identify the talent in our children. We got to identify the good in our children. And even, I look at my nieces and my nephew. All three. I babysit all three of the kids when they started from infancy all the way up to where they are today. What the first one did, the second one didn't do. What the second one did, the third one didn't do. Did I judge them differently? Did I treat them differently? Absolutely not. I curve myself into the way they are at that moment. And I always tell parents, we are blessed to enter their world. Whatever that world looks like at that age, that's the world we are entering. And we're not trying to change them or make them better, be like this first one or the second one. We want to embrace them and train them up in the way they are and figure out how to help them thrive and survive in what they are doing at that moment. You know what I'm saying, Karen? It's like, you may find a family that has all normalized children where they are not in need of tutoring or speech therapy or, OT or PT or, you know what I'm saying? But then you come along, here going the third or fourth child is a special need child. And then you say, why? What happened? Okay, even though they're special in that way, guess what? They have their uniqueness about them. Let's pull on to that. Let's hold on to that and see how they can progress as an individual.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I saw that with my 2 children, as I said, again, I use every challenge as an opportunity to pray. And so when I saw Ariana's challenge to understand and to be able to read and, comprehend, I went to God with that. And this kid went from a kid who couldn't read at her age to a kid who is now on honor roll, and she has so many medals. She was chosen to read. So while, yes, we want to acknowledge that, this is an opportunity for them to grow, you also want to introduce Christ in that situation.
Absolutely. I love that. You brought it back again to the Almighty God. He has to be in your home, even raising your children, even making money, even cleaning your home. I always, Candace loved my cooking, y'all. And one of my secret in my cooking is as I cook, as I season, as I prepare, I say, God, let love be in this food. I'm praying and I'm saying, let love be in this food, God, as they eat it. Let them feel the love that I have as I cook it. If I am cooking a food and I'm mad, I promise you I will stop. I would never give that person my food. You know why? My attitude, my energy goes into that food, and that person will have to release and receive what I put in. So even in my food, God is in it. So why can God be in your training up your children? Why can't God be the one that you go to and say, listen, my kids are not potty, my last child is not potty trained. God, help me. Help me figure out a way to make it fun for him to get it, God. God, or he or she, my daughter can't read and write very well at her age, and she is not at the place that she needs to be. What can I do? Open up my eyes so I can see what needs to be done, and show me the resources that I need to help my child along the way. So I love that you said that, Candace. You went to God for your children. Parents, take a page out of Candace's book. Go to God for your children. Go to God and say, God, this child can't do what? But Lord, help me, show me, open my eyes, open up my understanding, illuminate their mind so they can do, feel, and become. So the next step that we're going to talk about is step number 7, embrace mistakes. Mistakes are something that in life we have to make. You know, I think about when Chelsea was walking. Chelsea was my first child, right? So I didn't really let her crawl because every time I felt like something's going to happen, you know. So when she started walking, I used to just stand right behind her. So she fall, I just grab her before she falls. But that didn't teach her how to fall and still get back up, because mommy was there to catch her before she fell, right? But in life, we got to fall. We got to make mistakes. Teach your child that failures are valuable learning experience. So I had to let her fall in certain situations. I remember, again, I'm going to bring back the situation for a store situation. Chelsea, I give her the independence of having money on her card, but I also make sure she understands that if you go to the store, you can't overspend. You got to spend exactly or under what you have. So, you know, the card swipe, she swiped the card, and instead of the card, the thing being $215 or whatever, the total was $5 and some change, and it said decline. And she looked at me like, Mommy, something is wrong with my card. I said, check your balance. And she said, what you mean, Mommy? I said, check what's on your card. And she had to open up her phone and check her balance. Her balance was $3 and some change. I said, look at what the total cost of the product is. She said, it's $5. Mommy, can you just cash at me the balance? No, ma'am. I said, no, ma'am, I cannot. You're going to spend what's on your card or less, and don't forget the taxes. So I had to let her fail. I had to let her to see the failure, but I didn't correct it. I let her realize what it was, and then go back, and what you have to do, find something that is at the cost that you can afford. So when you hear embrace mistakes, Candace, as a therapist, how do parents embrace mistakes to help their kids learn and grow?
So the first thing that we need to understand is that we are all humans, and because of that, we are prone to mistakes. And one of the things that I tell my parents is do not condemn. And remember, you were once a kid, right? And so, I have so many examples I could share about this, but I remember there was one particular situation where a kid did something, that was inappropriate for her age. And the mom, oh, my God, she came into therapy, and she was calling this kid all sorts of names. And I asked her, I said, let me take you back to yourself at this age. What did you do at this age? And it turned out that she did what that kid did, and her consequences was worse than where my client was. I said, were you condemned? Are you not here today with your kid? I said, teach them. We got to learn from our mistakes. Years ago, I remember my son did something, and, I went to bat for him because this is what he told me. He said, Mommy, I didn't do it. I went to bat for him. But, as a parent, you have that gut feeling. That's the Holy Spirit inside of you, right? And I knew something about that wasn't the full truth. So years after, we're driving in the vehicle, and every morning I spend like 20, 25 minutes with my kids reading the Bible and praying. And Holy Spirit dropped into me to say, listen, we are living in a time that's so uncertain I need you all to examine your relationship with God and ask God to break your heart for what break his. So that same afternoon, my kids came and when I asked Daniel, I said, hey, that thing that happened years ago, tell me what really happened. And he did. And in that moment, God gave me a peace not to condemn him, but I said to him, I said, listen, learn from that. I could have gone off, embarrassed him, shamed him, but I didn't. That's also a part of me loving him, right? I took that opportunity to teach him, listen, I did something last week that I would never share with anyone. So even me as a therapist, as an adult and as a human, I understand that even me would make mistakes. And I would want someone to sit and speak to me about that and not condemn me. So it's so important that as parents, we learn not to condemn our children because just like you, they are human.
Yes, that is so true. And I like that. I love that again, we have to remember, this just came to mind. What would Jesus do, right? And people always use that statement. What would Jesus do? Would Jesus sit there and, you shouldn't have done that? Yes, as parents, we get into that stage, Candace, where we get, like, I know me. I go from 0 to 360 like real quick. Chelsea be like, Mommy, can you please stop being a Karen today? I'm like, Chelsea, Mommy ain't being a Karen. I'm just making a point. Okay, but I get it, but we have to be mindful of the approach because, again, how you say it to those kids and how you correct those kids can also affect their confidence, can affect the way they approach the next situation, and it can become traumatic for them as well, Candace.
And not only that, you want to create an atmosphere where your kids would come to you with anything. I remember at 21 years, I went to my mom with something that I did, and the only reason why I went to my mom and spoke about that is because we had that open relationship, and it's so important that you create that door. I always hear people say, I have an open door policy, but then when you think about it, do you really have that policy? So you want to create an atmosphere where your kids are comfortable to come and speak with you about anything without fear of judgment and condemnation. Like God, you hear into the sea of forgetfulness. God throws all our sins 70 times 7 and more. You keep going. Our sins are forgiven. So who are us to condemn and judge?
I love that. And again, we were once kids, like Candace said. We were once their age. Yes, we didn't do what this generation is a bit different, y'all. Y'all know that. This is a different generation, but we were once, right? So, we, like as Candace mentioned, we must, embrace that mistake for our kids. Encourage them to preserve and not to be discouraged by their setbacks. So whatever that situation is, encourage them to say, listen, what did you learn? And how can you grow from it? What did you learn from this mistake? And how can you grow for it? Grow from it so next time it would never happen again, right? The next point we want to make to these parents on the same topic, again, you are listening to Women Emerge with Mellisa Lambert. It's an honor to have the amazing therapist, Candace Mohammed, with us. We're talking about guiding the future, training up a child in the way they should grow. We already talked last week about lead by example, encourage exploration, teach responsibility, foster thinking, critical thinking. 5, promote empathy. And today we're going back into the remaining 10, which is the 6th one is set realistic expectation. And we just finished embrace mistakes. The 8th one is encourage independence. As your child grows, give them increasing, let them make their own form of decision, right? Allowing them to take responsibility for their choices and learn from them is an essential part of their growth. And even me, Candace, as a single mother with one child, that's something even her therapist said that she talked about. about the fact that she would love to go walk down the street to the library or walk somewhere with a friend, And I said to the therapist, I get it, but like as a helicopter mom, it's hard for me to let go. Like, where you going? What you mean you want to go down the street? But when I went to New Jersey, because the way New Jersey is put together, her cousin's school is on the same straight block. So what I did was, for that independence, I allowed her in the morning to walk one of them to school and walk back by herself. And that was a lot for me. That took a lot for me to allow her to do that. And then she start pushing me, Mommy, can we go to the park? I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like too much, God. And then she pushed it again, like, oh, can we walk to CVS? Remind you, CVS is on the other side. And I'm like, oh my gosh, independence, Melissa. The therapist said independence. But again, for some helicopter moms like me, Candace, that's a lot to ask for. It's a lot to say, my one child is going to go and walk with her friends, and I'm not going to shadow her, or I'm not going to walk behind her or drive to make sure she's there. But I got to trust that what I've trained Chelsea with, is going to be impactful for her to remember. Mommy said I can't talk to stranger. Mommy said to do not be on my phone while I'm walking. Mommy said to keep my phone on at all time. Mommy said when I get to my location to text me. Mommy, now she understands that, because now what I taught her, she can implement on her action, on her independence, on her walking by herself. So, Candace, when you think about this in a therapeutic way, it's hard for me as a mom to encourage that independence, because that's my only baby. But we want to encourage independence, not only for a one-child syndrome, but for all kids. How do parents help encourage the independence of their child, but also be okay to give them that independence?
Melissa, I listened to you about, giving Chelsea the little freedom in when you were in New Jersey. And I mean, I'm a mom before I'm a therapist, right? I have a 16-year-old, and he's always upset with me because he said, Mommy, can I go here? Can I do that? I'm like, no. If I'm not there, you can't do it. Like last night, I allowed him to go to this Halloween something that we have here in Osmond Springs, and I don't know how I did that. Was I scared? Yes, but I have to realize that the more I try to have these kids like up under my arms all the time, it's a disadvantage to them. We have to train kids up to be independent, to have autonomy where they understand that I can think on my own and I don't need validation from others to do something. We're training them to be leaders and not followers. So how would we encourage independence when, as you say, we want to be helicopter moms or helicopter parents, right? It's so important that we give them, you don't have to go overboard with it, but start with little things. Daniel, when he was 3 years old, I had him dressing himself, like literally. I would put the clothes on the bed and have him dress himself. And, we used to make fun of it to see how at the age of 6 or 7, he would stand there, Melissa, dress himself, tuck his shirt in his pants, put his belt on, and present himself like perfectly dressed. If I didn't teach him that, like when I look at Daniel today, like this kid is so independent with certain things. Same thing with Ariana. They have their own mind. Like from small, when we go to the store and it's time to buy clothes, I would ask my kids, do you like this or do you like that? They have their own mind. So at some point we got to acknowledge again that they are unique. And as much as we may want to put everything on a platter for them, we have to learn, most importantly, to give our kids autonomy.
Wow. And it is so true. And that's something even as a parent, psychologically, that the reason why we actually become the helicopter mom or the mom that is so overly protected is because of childhood trauma. I know for a fact I don't let Chelsea go to any house that has a male in there. Meaning a brother, an uncle, a father that I don't know. because of my childhood trauma. I don't let Chelsea out of my sight because of all the sex trafficking that's going on, right? So we also become the helicopter parent. We become the control parent because of the childhood trauma that we have faced, right? So when you think about that, the trauma, like, how do you help a parent? Because that's one of the things that I want to learn. How do I release control and know that? And I know that God is going to protect her. Her name is Chisum. Her middle name is Chisum, meaning God is with her. I know that goodness and mercy shall follow her all the days of her life. I know that the blood of Jesus will protect her. But again, I'm still a human that believes that, okay, this world is amazing, but it's also some crazy people out there. But I, too, have to mentally get through the process of saying, Mellisa, it's okay to foster the process of independence in this area, stage or step by step. How do you help a parent like me get through that process of helping and encouraging independence for a child, but to also get over the parent owns past trauma?
I mean, Mellisa, like in everything, right, we got to use wisdom. So even though we want to give our kids freedom and independence, we got to use wisdom in the situation, right? I mean, for a parent who has been through trauma and, we become the parents that we are, we need to search ourselves and examine that fear and face that fear. And then when we apply it to the situation with our kids, we need to know, does fear fit the facts, right? Is it me sending my daughter to be with my mom? Like, I'll be honest with you, I'm from Trinidad. I have never sent my kids to Trinidad unless I was there. And I know it hurt my mom, but I couldn't bring myself to do that. But if I sit here and I encourage that, I know that my kids would have been safe. So first of all, as that parent who has been hurt, we got to get into our mind and examine the facts, right? We got to deal with ourselves first, because what we are doing is projecting these fears onto these kids. I remember you telling me this, Mellisa. You said, Candace, your kids are picking up your energy, right? So we got to examine our fears. And if fear fit the facts, then no, we know we're not going to do it. But if fear does not fit the fact, then we have to be okay with giving them that independence at that time.
Oh, that's deep. That's powerful, because your kids mimic what you say and what you do, and they can also feel your energy by how you react, how you say things. And I watched my siblings' kids, and I'm like, ooh, they definitely pick up that. That's the spirit of this person. That's the spirit of that person. Because guess what? We are spirit. The Bible says, they that worship me must worship me in spirit and in truth. In this temple, Candace, is a spirit being. When you pass on, you go dust to dust, but the spirit goes back to God. So, yes, they are going to pick up the spirit that surrounds them. And you're so right with that. So thank you for sharing that. We're going to take a quick commercial break. Again, you are listening to Woman Emerge with Mellisa Lambert. I have the honor to bring forth again, another time, the therapist for Women Emerge Network, but she has her own brand, Embrace and Heal Ministry, Candace Mohammed. And this show is being sponsored by Women Emerge Network. Who is this Women Emerge Network? We are a network created for women, men, and children to help bring families' dreams, destiny, and businesses together. The goal of Women Emerge Network is to impact the family, the community, and the world by bringing resources, education, opportunity, and businesses that will make a difference in the lives of many. So why do you want to join Women Emerge Network? It's a place where you come together to network, to learn, to grow, and to create generational wealth. Here at Women Emerge Network, the family is connected. Father, mother, and children. This community keeps the wealth growing amongst one another. So let's build this network. And we build this on our platform here on Woman Emerge Network Radio. We build it here on every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're here every Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are here at womanemergeradio.com. You can go to our website, womanemergenetwork.com, to check us out. We do have our digital magazine. You can go to womanemergeconnect.com to get your free digital magazine, which goes out every other week. You get some great recipes to get your health in order. We have our physical magazine that mails out every other month. We have our YouTube channel. So there's so many ways Women Emerge can connect, and you can be a part of this wonderful network. So let's create history together. Become a member today at womanemergenetwork.com. Again, womanemergenetwork.com. We are almost to the ending of our 10 tips that we are giving to parents. I'm going to go over them again. Last week we discussed lead by example, encourage exploration, teach responsibility, foster critical thinking, promote empathy. And today we're talking about the remaining 5. The number 6 one is set realistic expectations. 7, embrace mistakes. 8, and we just finished talking about encourage independence. And the 9th one we're going to talk about is love unconditionally. Above all, love your child unconditionally. Don't play favoritism. I only have one, so I can just give her all the love I can. But if you have more than one, don't play favoritism like, I like you better because you did this. Love unconditionally. Let them know that you love and appreciate them. Let them know that they matter. Let them know every day. Chelsea knows I run up on her, kiss her, tell her I love her. In the daytime, the midday, the afternoon, the evening, the night, she knows I will say, I love you, and be sensitive to the type of child you have. I know some children are very laid back, and some kids want to be loved on, and some kids don't want to be touched. But in the meantime, even those who don't like to be touched, show them another way to love on you. So, Candace, I know that you've dealt with a lot of different children, a lot of different family, and loving unconditionally is something that is so. It's an easy thing to say, but for so many, Candace, it's hard to do. How do you relate that statement to a family that, has been hurt, has been through a lot, and the word I love you can't come out because of the hurt behind it all? How do you now share that to a family to show them, to help them to show and express love towards each other?
Sometimes it's so difficult to say I love you when you have been hurt, right? You just said it. And even like us now, we are single parents, and sometimes our kids say things to us and do things that are so hurtful, and we know that as a single parent, like, we are going beyond the call of parenting for our children. And I think a lot of times, too, as single parents, we try to overcompensate, for the things that you think they are missing. And so when they say things or do things to hurt us, it's so difficult to say I love you. But unconditional love, even though when our kids may not be the way we think they should be, unconditional love is when a parent, we accept, love, and show affection to our children, even when they make mistakes, even when they fall short of our expectations. We love them with no strings attached. That's what unconditional love is. Like, God loves us in spite of. And even when he corrects us, it's because he loves us. And so I would say that to my kids. I'm doing this because I love you. So we also have to be able to explain that to our children. It's because I love you, I'm doing X, Y, and Z. And so the biggest thing here is understanding that no matter what mistakes they do or how they may fall short, God called us to be their parent. And just as God is our Father and He loves us in spite of, think about the mistakes that we have made in our lives, Mellisa. Think about it. And even that, we would go to God on our knees for whatever, and He would give it to us. So why can't we do the same for our children? And if we understand that, we wouldn't condemn them. We would love them unconditionally.
Wow. I think back on last week when you had to come to my house, and because Chelsea said a word that was so hurtful to me, and she knows that there's certain words you just cannot say, because when you release it out of your mouth, you can't get it back. And that word that she released hurt me so much, Candace, to the point where I was numbed. And she mentioned, Mommy, you sat there and you were just laughing, because my coping mechanism to not blow up is laughter. God will give me the spirit of laughter, and I would just laugh and laugh, and until the point where afterwards, when I realize the person is trying to really play me, that's when I see red and I start triggering again. And when I tell you, even after she said that, I still had to love her unconditionally. Even though she hurt me with her words at that moment, and it pierced my heart, I still had to be mom. I still had to take her to her therapy session. I still had to buy her lunch. I still had to cook her dinner. I still had to make sure I kissed her and tell her I love her, even though it hurt what she said to me. So unconditional love, I know that many people may look at it like, well, I'm not going to forgive them because of da-da-da. It's something that as a mom, I have to do. When it comes to other people now, like, my nieces and my nephews, that's a challenge for me because, I expect certain things from my daughter and I expect certain things from my siblings' kids, right? And that's something I'm learning, how to still love unconditionally in that area. That's something that God got to work on for me, because then you find kids and people use you or abuse you because they know that you will still be the Christian and and show them the Christ love, even when they do harm or state something to you. And you know what I'm talking about, Candace. So I'm going to go back to you, and I'm going to ask you this question, because I know there's families that are listening, and they're like, well, I can love my friend, my kids, but I can't love this one right here. This child in this family right here, or this cousin, or this aunt, or this niece, or this nephew. How do you really, not just in the home for your children, but for your family, how do you still love unconditionally?
And I'm gonna say that with a statement, like, God loves us all. He doesn't love me and my kids in my home, and just because we are part of this home means that He wouldn't love you and Chelsea in your home, right? At some point, and I think for all aspects of our lives, we want to ensure that what we do, what we say, mirrors Christ. And, when I pray, I always pray, God, help me to love like you do. I always pray that prayer. And Mel, when we think about, for instance, like our ex-husbands, like, we have to pray for them. The Bible says pray for your enemies, right? That's a part of love. That's a part of loving unconditionally. Not intimately, but we still have to acknowledge that they are children of God. And so, our children, God gave them to us, but they still belong to Him, right? And so when we think about that concept, then we think about our nieces, our nephews, and even people who are not connected to us. To pray for someone is an act of love. So I think when we learn how to acknowledge God in everything and ask, what would Jesus do? It becomes so much easier to love people who aren't even connected to us.
Ooh, I like that. Ooh, I love that. Wow. Yeah. And I guess that's where we need to start, y'all. What would Jesus do, and how, Lord, can you open my heart to really embrace this person and show the unconditional love of Christ to them. So thank you for sharing that, Candace. And the last one that we're going to talk about is communicate openly. Communicate openly, maintaining an open and honest communication with our children. Be a supportive and understanding person for them, allowing them to express their thoughts and concern. This can build, Candace, trust and reinforcement for them and help them throughout their lifespan, and also help them with emotional growth as well. So how do we help with keeping the communication open? And I think you spoke about that earlier as well. How do we continue the open communication amongst our children and amongst, different our parenting skills? Like, we both have, we're both divorcees, right? And keeping that communication with those two, it's a bit challenging because, we have some special beings, but how can we still keep the communication open amongst them, but also our children as well?
Now, let me be honest, right? We got to be honest. Like, we can't sit here and pretend that we are perfect human beings, right?
Nope.
I mean, there are times when I want to say to my kids, shut up. Like, I really do. Like, they are freaking annoying me in that moment, right? But then I have to remember, like, they have a voice too, right? We want to create an atmosphere where no matter how we feel, Mellisa, our kids should feel safe.
Yeah.
Safe to come to us first and not go to the world.
True.
Because the world will teach them things that we would come to regret. So you've got to create an atmosphere conducive to listening. No matter how much we may be annoyed, we got to keep that atmosphere open to come speak with me and know that I'll listen. I'm not going to condemn you. I'm not going to judge you. I may not agree, and here we go back to validation. I may not agree with what you're saying, but I want to validate that you do have an opinion. I want to acknowledge that, because the last thing we want to do is shut our kids up and create a generation where they don't want to open their mouth and speak. Encourage kids to be assertive, voice your opinion, encourage them to be okay with others saying, I don't agree with you. When you know your worth, it doesn't matter what other people think. Right? So we got to create that atmosphere where our kids are okay with coming to us first.
I love it. And I remember Chelsea saying something, because one of the things I say to her all the time, please, mommy will be more mad if you don't tell me. I'm not going to be mad if you tell me. I'll be mad to find out you never said anything to me. And she was like, Mommy, but my cousins have always called me a snitch. I said, no, I'm glad that you spoke up, because you just saved your cousin's life. Because she shared something. I overheard them talking, and I saw something that was happening to one of my nieces. And I'm thankful that my daughter spoke up. Because she spoke up, she saved my niece's life. So, yes, I don't care what they think about you, Mama. I call her Mama. I said, I don't care what they think about you. You tell Mommy. And if it's something that's detrimental or something that's going to harm them, Mommy will have to speak up to their parents. Will I say everything that you tell me? Absolutely not. But if it's endangerment for this child, I will have to speak up. So I'm so thankful that you said that, Candace, because we all need, as parents, to know we need to keep that communication, keep the gates open, so they don't have to go to strangers to tell the business or go to strangers to talk about what their feeling is, but they can come to you. They can open that door, knock on that door, say, Mommy, Daddy, this is what I want to share with you. So thank you again, Candace, for coming on. We did talk about a lot, and I want to make sure we understand that this show is being sponsored again by Women Emerge Network. We have the amazing Candace Mohammed, the visionary and the CEO of her own brand. Her own brand is Embrace and Heal Ministries, and she is just truly amazing. And today we are talking about guiding the future, training up a child in the way they should grow. This is part 2. And yes, last week we talked about lead by example, encourage exploration, teach responsibility, foster critical thinking, promote empathy. And today we discuss set realistic expectation, embrace mistakes, encourage independence, love unconditionally, and finally communicate openly. So Candace, how can the listeners follow you, connect back with you, and even be able to say, I want to become a client in Embrace and Heal Ministries?
So you can email me at embraceandheal2105@gmail.com. You can also follow me on Instagram under my brand, Embrace and Heal Ministries. I'm also on Facebook under my name, Candace Mohammed. And on my website, www.dbtorlando.com/Candace-MO.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much, Candace. And I am so excited. One of the things that I'm really excited about, the upcoming future for Candace, we're going to be doing, what is it called? You said it today. What
Mindfulness.
Mindfulness session. Women Emerge Network is hosting our first ever challenge, weight loss challenge. We're calling it Go Green Weight Loss Challenge, and we're going to add personal training. We're going to add a vegan chef, which will be sharing some great recipes, and we're going to throw in Candace Mohammed in there to talk about mindfulness, because as you really get yourself together in a physical state, you also need to get yourself in a mental state. So I'm excited. Please stay tuned to that information, and you're able to join in and be able to see what Candace do. You got to witness this wonderful woman at work. So you can follow me at Mellisa S. Lambert. That's Mellisa S. Lambert. Also on Facebook at Women, WOMEN Emerge, EMERGE Network, NETWORK, and Women Emerge Wellness on IG at Women Emerge Now. And don't forget, your greatest wealth is your health. We have 2 sites that you can go check out some of their products: WeLiveGood.info and WomanEmergeWellness.com. Don't forget to get our actual digital wellness magazine. It's called Healthy Start, and you can go to WomanEmergeConnect.com, WomanEmergeConnect.com. Until next Wednesday, again, Candace, thank you. Thank you for gracing the presence in the platform of Woman Emerge with Mellisa. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
And until next Wednesday, everybody, I want you to take care. I want you to take charge. And remember, your greatest wealth is your health. And you have the power. I'm going to say it again. You have the power to change it. You have the power to change so much things in your life. As parents, you have the power to train up these children in the way they should grow. So when they get older, they will never depart from the word of truth. They will never depart from your instruction. They will never depart from the discipline. They will never depart from what you have trained them to do. So please, parents, do better. Continue your process. And listen, pat yourself on the back, because it's hard in these streets. And some of these times, these kids are very ungrateful. But I want you to know, as you continue this journey called parenthood, you are doing good. They may not like it, but guess what? You better love on them and take care of you. Put the oxygen on you. Put the oxygen on you first. Take care of you. Go take a drink. Not that type of drink, but drink something that makes you feel good. Go somewhere fun. Go on a vacation. Do something for you. Give yourself the oxygen you need to become that parent that you deserve to be. All right? Don't get burned out. And if you feel that you're burned out, I'm asking you to take a deep breath and come again. Get back, restart, recharge, so you can give the best to yourself first and the best to your children. So again, until next Wednesday, we thank you so much for listening to Woman Emerge with Mellisa Lambert. Bye for now.
Thank you for listening to Women Emerge with Mellisa Lambert, where Mellisa speaks with leaders, experts, experts and motivators who share their journeys and their stories through personal and professional growth, knowledgeable tips, and lessons learned that will empower you to grow. Follow Mellisa and Women Emerge Network on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at MELLISA SLAMBERT and at Women Emerge Network. And visit www.womenemergenetwork.com. Remember, when you know better, you can do better, especially when God is for you.